We're talking college sports in the Deep South where college football is king. And at Auburn, the loveliest village of the plains, the battle cry is War Eagle. We want to think that the SEC conference is arguably one of the better conferences in college football. I absolutely love the SEC West, the rivalries. You're talking about two in-state rivalries with Auburn and Alabama. Also, Mississippi State and Ole Miss. As well, you have the interconnecting rivalries, which I just don't have time to name right now. I think the SEC West is very fiercely competitive. The fan bases are very, very intense. Once again, it's K-Stu to go for Vernon Speaks Sports. We're talking Auburn football a whole lot on this channel. Go ahead and like, comment, and subscribe to my channel. We get the comment section active. As a matter of fact, I get a lot of information from the comment section. I appreciate it. A lot of my videos have been inspired by the comment section. War Eagle. So obviously, not much action as far as Auburn Tigers goes, as far as the NFL draft, which was predicted in a video that I did prior. So that should come to no surprise to the Fearless and True gang. But I had to think about the 2018 season as it related to the Auburn Tigers and the quarterback situation with Jarrett Stidham. Of course, Jarrett Stidham came into the 2018 season similar to Jeremy Johnson back in 2015 as a possible Heisman candidate. Of course, some of that was detracted because of a couple of reasons. Of course, you have Will Hastings that was injured. You have Eli Stove that was injured. Then you have Nate Craig Myers who decides to leave the program. So you have a lot of production that was thought to be pretty much a factor in this thing, just not in place. And also you have an offensive line who was largely inexperienced. New coach J.B. Grimes comes on, and you have a debacle in that situation as well. We talk about the LSU game of 2018 and Jarrett Stidham with 2 interceptions in that particular football game. Auburn obviously getting it, reeling everything back in, but a late touchdown puts LSU right back into the ball game. Subsequently, LSU wins that game 22-21, and that begins the somewhat debacle of Jarrett Stidham. We look at the stretch between Mississippi State and Alabama. You're talking 5 turnovers, including 3 in the Tennessee game. Inexplicable turnovers. As a matter of fact, the turnovers in that particular football game neutralized Auburn to where an otherwise not so good SEC team was able to pick up their first, in Tennessee, was able to pick up their first SEC win in quite some time. So the chatter began to surface as to whether, Jarrett Stidham needed to be benched or, just kind of bring another quarterback in for a change of pace, things of that nature. And, there's quite an argument there because Jarrett Stidham did not play particularly well during that stretch. The confidence factor absolutely out of the window. I remember the Mississippi State game. I felt like Auburn could win the game, but, you talk about the woes of the offensive line and you talk about Jarrett Stidham, sort of backsliding. It just all depends. And then in that particular game, you have the Boobie Whitlow fumbling on the 1-inch line. You have missed field goals by Anders Carlson. Just everything that could go wrong. Kind of reminded me of the 2015 Mississippi State game where, Sean White made his debut and Auburn pretty much surrendered, inexplicably what I thought otherwise could have been a win for the Auburn Tigers. So we look at the argument of Jarrett Stidham. Should he have been benched? Now, I don't think he should have been benched. I think there could have been maybe some variations, bringing Malik Willis in to kind of help out a little bit. But I think the biggest concern that I had was the fact that most of the reasoning behind Malik Willis, not Malik Willis being benched, but Jarrett Stidham being benched, is you look at, say, Jeremy Johnson from 2015. They're like, man, Jeremy Johnson got benched. Look, I'm going to tell y'all, man, Jeremy Johnson and Jarrett Stidham situation was totally different. Totally different. Now, Jarrett Stidham, over the course of about 6 or 7 games, had 5 turnovers. Jeremy Johnson, for example, had 6 turnovers in 3 games. Jeremy Johnson absolutely had to be benched. I didn't realize this until I started doing some research on this content today. Jeremy Johnson had 3 interceptions in the Louisville game in 2015, which I did not know. It was unfortunate that the pass to Jason Smith was called back. I think that was the career-altering play for Jeremy Johnson, because if that play would have stood in the Louisville game, then maybe Jeremy Johnson's career would have been different. But Jeremy Johnson, as his, the debacle just continued to go into a downward spiral. So we cannot, there were a lot of people who, use this whole, Jeremy Johnson being benched as a caveat as to why, Jarrett Stidham should have been benched. No, Jeremy Johnson and Jarrett Stidham are 2 totally different quarterbacks. By the LSU game in 2015, Jeremy Johnson had no one on the offensive side of the football field had faith in Jeremy Johnson's abilities. Now, likewise, you look at Jarrett Stidham down the stretch. He lost a lot of confidence as well, and you could tell in his gameplay, especially the Tennessee game. I think his confidence reached an all-time low in that particular game, but we just cannot compare the outcomes of Jeremy Johnson and Jarrett Stidham in this particular situation. You look at a situation also where Cord Sandberg, I just don't think the coaching staff had faith in Cord Sandberg at this point, because obviously he had not played football in years. Joey Gatewood, from what I remember, was injured. And Malik Willis, for whatever inexplicable reason, especially when I look at how he performed in the spring game, just was not called upon. So in 2018, do I think Jarrett Stidham should have been benched? I mean, that's up for debate. There's some items with Jarrett Stidham that I was kind of questionable about, especially when, you want to target the offensive line as a source of, reason for the detractors offensively. But there were several situations where Jarrett Stidham could have used some ingenuity and made some things happen with his feet. Or even from a play calling standpoint, I think the quick passes against Washington really worked. I just don't understand why the Auburn coaching staff got away from that. But, of course, there should have been some adjustments made. But fan base, come on, guys. We cannot compare, Jeremy Johnson's outcome to Jarrett Stidham. These are 2 totally different quarterbacks, 2 totally different skill sets. And Jeremy Johnson's, impact was not nearly what was way more detrimental than what Jarrett Stidham brought to the table. Of course, I think, from a leadership standpoint, his performance at Tennessee was very, very depressing, very, very pathetic. However, he brought the team, he helped to reel himself back in and solidify himself as a quarterback that was possibly draftable. Because we always knew about Jarrett Stidham's skill set, just the decision-making under duress was very, very questionable. Once again, it's K-Stu to go for Vernon Speaks Sports. I wanted to hit this topic here today. Of course, we don't have any content on Auburn players being drafted. That's a whole nother video. Go ahead and like the video. Subscribe definitely to Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn so we can get these live chats going on. Go ahead and comment in the comment section. The Fearless and True Gang, get it very active in the comment section. Until next time, guys, it's Vernon Speaks Sports Auburn, War Eagle.